It's January 16th, 1912. The South Pole, minus 40 degrees Celsius, minus 40 Fahrenheit. On one side of the Antarctic plateau, 5 British men are dying of starvation. They're elite explorers eating scientifically formulated modern rations developed by the best minds in London. On the other side, a Norwegian team is racing home, stronger than when they started. The difference? A waxy brick of meat and fat that the British called primitive and unpalatable. It's called pemmican, and it breaks every rule we're taught about food safety. No refrigeration, no preservatives, no vacuum-sealed bags, just meat, fat and physics. It has a documented shelf life of over 7 years. Some examples lasted 50. It packs 3,500 calories into a single pound. Your expensive survival food? It molds in 6 months and gives you half the energy. We think we've progressed. But walk into any outdoor store today. A single freeze-dried meal costs $12 and expires in 3 years. The indigenous peoples who perfected pemmican created emergency rations that outlasted generations. Their children's children could eat food their grandparents made. We've forgotten how to fuel our own biology, and the food industry desperately wants to keep it that way. To understand what we have lost, we have to travel back to 1814. The location is the Red River Valley in what's now Manitoba, Canada. 2 massive corporations are fighting for control of North America over a food product so efficient it determined who controlled an entire continent. The Hudson's Bay Company and the Northwest Company were the big tech of the 1800s. Their business was fur trading, but their limiting factor was energy. You can't trap beaver and haul pelts across frozen wilderness if your men collapse from starvation. Enter Governor Miles MacDonell. He issues the Pemmican Proclamation, a law that bans anyone from exporting provisions from the Red River area. On the surface, it looks like he's trying to feed settlers. In reality, he's trying to starve his competition. The Northwest Company's entire operation runs on pemmican. Their canoe brigades consume millions of pounds of it every year. Cut off the pemmican supply, and you cripple your rival's ability to operate. The proclamation doesn't just anger the Northwest Company, it enrages the Métis people, the indigenous provisioners who actually make this manufactured grease. And on June 19, 1816, at a place called Seven Oaks, the Métis prove exactly why you don't mess with the people who control your energy supply. 21 Hudson's Bay Company men are killed, including the governor himself. The Métis lose 1 man. The Métis fighters moved fast and hit hard. They didn't need supply lines or rest stops. They carried their fuel with them, sealed in leather pouches, ready to eat cold or hot, rain or shine. The British officers, on the other hand, were dependent on salted pork and flour that rotted in the damp. Their food made them weak, slow, and cost them the battle. This wasn't just a military victory. It was proof that in a harsh environment, whoever controls the portable energy controls the territory. The modern food industry learned this lesson. But instead of making you stronger, they designed a system to keep you dependent. Walk into any gas station today, look at the beef jerky on the shelf and pick up a bag. You're not buying food. You're buying water with a meat flavor. Here's the dirty secret the industry doesn't want you to know. Modern jerky is kept tender on purpose. That soft, chewy texture, that's moisture. And moisture is cheaper than meat. The industry operates at what's called 0.85 water activity. That's the legal safety limit before mold takes over. They ride that edge as close as possible because every ounce of water they can sell you is pure profit. But there's a cost. That moisture creates the perfect breeding ground for bacteria. If your bag gets a tiny puncture, if the seal fails, if you leave it in a hot car, you've got Staphylococcus aureus ready to multiply. Your expensive jerky isn't preserved. It's on life support, held together by plastic and chemical additives. Then there's the energy scam. Modern survival bars and meat sticks are loaded with rice syrup, oat solids, and seed oils. They're designed to spike your blood sugar fast, give you a brief burst of energy, then crash you hard. It's the same trick as kindling in a fireplace. Bright flame, lots of heat, gone in 20 minutes. But when you're in actual survival mode, when you're working 12 hours in the cold, when you need sustained energy, carbs betray you. Your body burns through them fast. Your core temperature drops. You get hungry again within an hour. Fat burns like coal. Slow, steady, and keeps your internal furnace running for 6 to 8 hours without a refill. The modern food system replaced coal with kindling, then sold you supplements to fix the crash, then sold you more snacks to fix the hunger. It's a perfect dependency loop. If modern food science is so advanced, why does your expensive jerky mold in 6 months, while pemmican from the 1800s is still edible today in museum collections? The answer is simple. Modern food isn't designed for your survival. It's designed for corporate survival. So what exactly is pemmican? The word comes from Cree. Pemmican. It means manufactured grease. That tells you everything about how sophisticated this technology is. And here's where most modern attempts fail. They think pemmican is just dried meat mixed with fat. It's not. There are 4 non-negotiable requirements that separate authentic pemmican from expensive leather. Requirement 1. The meat must be snap-dry, not bendy like a Slim Jim, not chewy like modern jerky, brittle like a cracker. If you can bend it without it shattering, it's not dry enough. Indigenous peoples would test this by snapping a piece between their fingers. The sound told them everything. A clean crack meant it was ready. A soft bend meant it would spoil. This brittleness isn't about texture. It's a structural requirement. 1 pound of authentic pemmican powder requires 5 pounds of raw muscle because you're removing 80% of its weight in water. Requirement 2. The meat must be pulverized into powder, not chunks or strips. The original method used stone hammers and wooden mortars. The women would pound for hours until the meat turned to dust. This wasn't tedious, busy work. The finer the powder, the more surface area exposed for the next layer. Modern pemmican recipes leave chunks of meat. Those unsealed pockets become entry points. Your preservation system has holes in it before you even start. Requirement 3. You must use suet-rendered tallow, not lard, bacon grease or vegetable oil. Suet is the hard white fat around the kidneys of bison or beef. The Métis provisioners knew exactly which fat to harvest. They would cut around the kidneys, trim away any meat, and render it separately from body fat. Kidney fat has a higher melting point and stays harder at room temperature. Store-bought lard is too soft. It weeps at warm temperatures. Bacon grease goes rancid within weeks. The traditional choice of suet wasn't accidental. It was the only fat stable enough to work. Requirement 4. The ratio must be 1:1 by weight. 1 pound of meat powder to 1 pound of rendered tallow. Not more tallow, not less. Too much fat and it's just greasy paste. Too little and you have exposed protein that will oxidize. The Métis didn't measure with scales. They judged by eye and feel. The mixture should be workable, but not wet. Cohesive, but not sticky. This precision wasn't about following a recipe. It was about understanding that every particle of protein needed complete coverage. When these 4 requirements are met, you've created something the modern food industry can't replicate. Not because they lack the technology, but because authentic pemmican can't be mass-produced cheaply. The snap-dry requirement takes days. The suet rendering is labour-intensive. The 1:1 ratio means using expensive fat instead of cheap water. The pulverization can't be rushed. And most importantly, if your survival food lasts 7 years, you only buy it once. That's why every grocery store jerky is kept tender and moist. They're selling you water because water is profit. They're keeping it just barely preserved because barely preserved means you come back next month. Authentic pemmican was never about profit. It was about creating a food product that would outlast the person who made it. And that kind of permanence doesn't serve an industry built on repeat purchases. Let's compare pemmican to modern survival food using the metrics that actually matter. Metric 1. Fuel density. Imagine you're packing for a week-long expedition. You can either carry 1 pound of pemmican or 3 pounds of energy bars to get the same 3,500 calories. That's the difference between 2 logs and 20 logs in your fireplace. Same heat, wildly different effort. Metric 2. Maintenance. Pemmican requires 0 maintenance. You can leave it in a leather pouch in your truck for a year. It doesn't care about temperature swings or humidity. It's stable. Modern jerky, on the other hand, needs refrigeration after opening. You need to watch expiration dates and baby it. Metric 3. Energy output. 1 pound of pemmican provides 6 to 8 hours of steady thermogenesis, your body's ability to generate heat. 1 energy bar gives you 45 minutes of energy, followed by a blood sugar crash that makes you colder than before you ate it. This is proven by the Antarctic. Roald Amundsen reached the South Pole and came back. His team was stronger at the end than at the beginning. His secret was high-fat pemmican and dogs. Robert Falcon Scott died 11 miles from his supply depot. His team had food, but their food was lean, low-fat and high carbohydrate. Scott's men were man-hauling sledges, the most metabolically demanding activity a human can do. They needed 6,500 calories per day just to break even. Their rations provided 4,590 calories. That's a deficit of 1,910 calories every single day. Their bodies started eating their own muscle tissue to keep their hearts beating. They died with full stomachs because their modern rations were a metabolic failure. Amundsen ate like a primitive. Scott ate like a gentleman, but only one survived. We didn't progress past pemmican. We forgot it because the industry can't profit from food that lasts decades. Now let's talk about why modern survival experts failed to replicate pemmican. In 1945, the US Army ran survival trials. They wanted to create a modern version of pemmican for downed air crews. They called it Ration, Special Survival RS-1. The results were catastrophic. Soldiers eating the ration deteriorated so rapidly they became operationally useless within 3 days. They were listless, dehydrated, and had sunken eyes. The military declared pemmican unsuitable for modern use. But here's what they missed. They made it too lean. They reduced the fat content to make it more palatable to modern tastes. By doing that, they destroyed the entire metabolic system. An explorer named Vilhjalmur Stefansson tried to warn them. He had lived with the Inuit for years, eating nothing but meat and fat. He thrived. In 1928, he even did a year-long clinical study at Bellevue Hospital, eating only meat to prove the diet worked. But the military didn't listen. They engineered the survival out of the food, then blamed the food when it failed. The science is clear. You can't use just any fat. Lard from the store won't work. Bacon grease won't work. Vegetable oils are a disaster. You need saturated fat. Specifically, you need tallow rendered from suet. Saturated fats are like vault doors. They're stable, resist oxidation, and stay hard at room temperature. Unsaturated fats are like screen doors. Oxygen walks right through. The fat goes rancid and your food spoils. This is the same reason modern jerky fails. The industry uses liquid smoke, soybean oil, and chemical preservatives to fake the flavor of real smoking. But those seed oils oxidize. They cause inflammation in your gut and turn toxic within months. The water activity limit is the other critical factor. The USDA requires commercial jerky to stay below 0.85. But that's the safety cliff. Just above that line, bacteria can proliferate if oxygen is present. Pemmican operates below 0.80. That's the zone where microbial life is impossible. The industry desperately wants you to forget that a product can be 100% safe without a plastic bag, without chemical preservatives, and without refrigeration. Because if you remember that, you stop being dependent on their system. If you want to make real pemmican yourself, here's exactly what you need to do. Step 1. Get the leanest meat possible. Bison is traditional. Beef works, venison works. Fat is the enemy during the drying phase because it goes rancid under heat. Slice the meat thin against the grain, 1/4 inch thick or less. Step 2. Dry it completely. You can use a dehydrator, an oven on the lowest setting, or hang it outside in dry, cold weather. The goal is snap dry. Bend a piece. If it bends, it's not ready. If it shatters like a cracker, you're good. This takes 12 to 24 hours depending on your method. Step 3. Pulverize it. A food processor or blender works. If you want to go traditional, use a stone mortar and wooden pestle. The finer the powder, the better the final product. Step 4. Render your suet. You need kidney fat from a butcher. Cut it into small chunks. Heat it slowly in a pot until all the water boils off and you're left with clear liquid tallow. Strain it through cheesecloth to remove any bits of meat or membrane. Let it cool slightly, but keep it liquid. Step 5. Mix the meat powder and the warm tallow at a 1:1 ratio by weight. 1 pound of powder, 1 pound of tallow. Stir it thoroughly, you're coating every particle. Step 6. Pour it into a shallow pan or mould. Let it cool and harden. Once it's solid, cut it into bars. Store it in a cool, dry place. No refrigeration needed or plastic needed. Just a leather pouch or wax paper. The pro move? Add powdered berries. Traditionally, Saskatoon berries or chokecherries. They provide vitamin C, which prevents scurvy. This is why Amundsen's team stayed healthy while Scott's team got sick. You can find freeze-dried berries online. Grind them into powder. Mix them in at about 10% by weight. Your first batch won't be perfect. It might be too crumbly or too hard. Adjust the fat ratio next time. Too dry? Add more tallow. Too soft? Add more meat powder. But once you get it right, you'll have a food product that outlasts anything the modern industry can sell you. 7 years minimum. Some historical examples are still edible after 50. This isn't just about making a snack. This is about reclaiming the knowledge that kept people alive when there was no grocery store, no power grid, and no safety net. The difference between survival and disaster isn't a better cell phone or a faster car. It's the knowledge of how to build a biological furnace that doesn't go out when the grid does. Modern energy bars are designed for the supermarket shelf, not for human biology. They're full of sugars that spike your insulin and crash your energy. When the power goes out, you're left with a gut bomb that betrays you in 45 minutes. If you're tired of food that fails you, if you're ready to learn techniques that actually work, hit that subscribe button. We're going deep on forgotten survival knowledge every week. Drop a comment and tell me, are you going to try making pemmican? Or are you sticking with the industry's water-filled jerky? This isn't just about food, it's about reclaiming the skills that made people self-sufficient. Skills that didn't depend on factories, supply chains, or corporations telling you what to eat. The secret of the manufactured grease was never lost. It was just buried under a century of industrial convenience and corporate profit. Subscribe, and let's keep digging up what they buried.